Um, Typical entrance requirements for schooling in healthcare, background checks are important. If you do have something on your criminal record, you're going to want to disclose that to your potential school. And frequently when the school turns down somebody because of something on their background check, it's because their clinical sites are not accepting a person on that background check. There is things that you can do if you Google expungement to try to get things removed from your record. Sometimes there's years past that they will, discredit that because it's so far back. Also a drug screen. You need to be free of alcohol and drugs, and they'll do a drug screen. And most healthcare facilities do random drug testing for their employees. And then program-specific guidelines. Some schools will require you to complete an interview before acceptance. Sometimes they do job shadowing, that they want to make sure that you're going into a program that you truly do know about, because a lot of times people go into programs, start schooling, and then they change, which isn't bad. It's just that, sometimes we can only offer that spot to 25 people in that cohort or group setting. And if we allow somebody in who's not dead set on the career or hasn't done that shadowing or volunteer experience to truly understand the career, then we've turned somebody down who would be really passionate about it. So those are things why they do that. Some places will do an essay. They want to see why you're choosing to go into a field. And again, it's just making sure that they're getting the right students in the seat. Sometimes there's placement testing. They can look at your ACT score or your SAT. And sometimes they do placement testing for like your English and your math classes, because if you're a little weak in your English, they want you to do in some preparatory English class before you put you in that higher level. And it's just getting you prepared so that we don't put you in a class that's going to be above the level that you're at and you're going to have frustrations. Sometimes a program will have a specific test. Doctors, they are required to take the MCAT test, and they're looking at your abilities to be successful in that career field. Credit loads, frequently people, how much time am I going to be spending for how many credit I take? So across the board, we've always just kind of said that 12 credits is considered to be full-time. We work in a semester studying. Most places do, not all places. Some places are transitioning so that they do more of blocks or 6-week classes. It just depends on how you like to do schooling and how the school offers it. Sometimes people do accelerated classes, and those are 8 weeks as opposed to your typical 16-week semester. And for every lecture credit, you are typically going to be in class for 50 minutes of lecture, but outside of class, you're expected to study probably 2 to 3 hours. I think sometimes people forget to map that out in their timeline, and they have the ability to do the courses, but we see their grades dropping because they haven't mapped out that study time, or they're not using adequate study skills. If you have a lab, the lab is 1 credit to about 2 hours where you're doing hands-on working. In clinical, we've noticed that when we've studied this, the clinical credits have kind of varied, but 1 credit to about 3 hours per week. And these are all kind of at a per week. Make sure that you have your work, social, and school life balanced out. Just because you're in class for just 12 hours a week, it doesn't mean that you should set up for you to work all the rest, because you'll have a lot of stuff to work on outside. I think that for healthcare specifically, that's one that there's really a lot of outside studying, and there's a bit of rigor on it. Now, with each program, it's slightly different for how much you're going to do outside of class, or what skills that you bring into and knowledge that you bring into. And grade expectations, they do tend to have, C or higher for the expectations in healthcare careers. But again, always look at what the program's requiring.